Hi, this is Associate Trainer Sabine Jong from Art2ride based in the Netherlands. And today I'm sharing with you my yearly update with my young Frisian mare Raven. To get started, I wanted to do an update on stuff that I'm working on with her right now. And currently that is getting her adjusted on new terrain. So during the winter, I trained her mostly in our big indoor arena. And for the last week, I've been taking the training to the outside arena. And it's already quite a bit better than it was, but she still can tense up quite a bit in the outdoor arena. So what you have to imagine is that on the other side of all these hedges, there are horses everywhere. They jump, they play, they make noise. It was a bit windy. So these are all things that she can respond to. So in this session, I'm going to show you how I work her through that. So she's a very young horse. For the ones who don't really know her history, I bought her as a 3-year-old while I had my arm broken. And in the first 4 months, I had to move her 3 times. One from the breeder to the 24/7 pasture where my other horses were, then to the barn because winter time was starting and we had to turn them in, and then to my current yard, and that all happened in 4 months. So that was quite a bit for her because she was never moved before, and it took her really some time to settle. So for the first good year, I spent doing working hand, lunging, and I also did some psychological training using the Warwickshire principles. So in the start, I don't do this in the indoor arena as much anymore. I literally walk around, see what her energy is about, and then I get on. But in the outdoor arena, because she gets tense, I spend a little bit more time working in hand. I do a little bit of yielding. I just check how soft she is, how connected she is with me. And compared to how we started, you already see that it's a little bit better. At least she waits a little bit longer for me. So I'm softly maintain contact with the mouth. She's very active, so I have to do very little to get her moving. The downside of that is that sometimes she's a little bit too active, and I'm more about slowing her down than actually activating her. Let's do a little bit of yielding here. She's really easy to get her to think into the right direction. She's a little bit overbent in the neck there, throwing herself on the outside shoulder. And you can block that with the outside rein, making her wait, but I was a little bit too late for that. So here you see that she's a little bit tense and distracted, carrying her head a little bit higher. Here, this yielding is already better, and you see that with the outside rein I correct her bending through her neck like that. And I softly invite her to come down to the stretch again and just follow my guidance. And as soon as she stretches down, you really see on the back how her back is moving and becoming soft. She's dropping herself a little bit on the forehand. This is because her croup is higher than her withers right now. So sometimes she really struggles, and I really noticed that she's been growing a lot. Her balance has been a little bit off in this session compared to the last 2 weeks, which was a shame. Not entirely what I wanted to show you, but that is a part of training a young horse. There's never a good time to decide to make a video. So here you can see over there already that her croup was higher than the withers. It was quite warm yesterday, about 24, 25 degrees Celsius, so she was struggling more than I expected to deal with the heat. We've ridden in warmer circumstances, so But now outdoors, maybe it was too many stimuli, maybe it was the full sun on her body, but she had a harder time. She felt a little bit tired as well, so that's why I decided to give her a little bit of a break. Here you can really see her croup is higher than her withers. She's still going to grow quite a bit in the front. So you can imagine with a horse like this, it's a little bit harder to really get that lift in the front because her conformation right now is just not really allowing that. So now she's going into working mode. And one of the things that I've been working on is getting her to slow down in the walk a little bit. So you want them to be active, but she was more than active. She was like, okay, what we're going to do, what we're going to do. Come on, let's go. And from there on, so like here, she's slowing down a bit. So she's not stretching down, but because she's slowing down, she's able to finish up her pace more. And she has more time to swing those hind legs underneath. So you want active, but you don't want too active. So in corners and stuff, she can be a little bit spooky. So the last thing that I want is to take over her tensity. So when I notice that she's getting a little bit tense, I give her more space on the rein. If that means that she is not fully stretching down and out of contact, I right now feel that that's better than trying to control her. So here I'm doing a little bit of yielding from the fence to the center line. This is now in a dressage test, so it's a good practice. You see all the horses going from the center line to the fence, but the other way around is very hard. I'm not riding her fully to the fence right now because I want her to get more between two reins. So that means taking her a little bit more on an inside and getting her to become a little bit more straight between my reins. So there's a little bit of a part where she gets a little bit tense. I just try to stay soft and guide her through it. So here another part, doing a little bit of yielding to the center line. And that's all just to get her connected from my leg to the hind leg and get her to become soft and more focused on what I'm doing. So I'm not really caring that much about a perfect yield here. I just work her towards settling down and getting her attention. While in the indoor arena, I really want more out of the yielding, but right now it's not really fair to ask that. So here I make my reins a little bit shorter. But I want to release that as quickly as I can. So even though she's in working position here, you can still see a lot of movement going along the back. And she's actually lifting the front a little bit here. So if you're looking at a horse in working frame, one of the things you want to pay attention to is whether the underneck is pushing or whether it's soft. So here it's pushing because she doesn't want to wait for me, and here it's becoming soft. So she's not stretching all the way down, but her underneck is really soft and loose. Here it's not, here it's tense, and here it's becoming soft again. And that's the softness that you want. That means they're stretching up the top line already if that underneck is relaxed. And now you're starting to notice that she's starting to settle down. I'm getting a deeper stretch. The movement is becoming more soft. So here we're also doing a little bit of yielding to the center line. So I'm not looking for that perfect yield right now. I'm just looking for softness and that I can guide her through it and having her focus. It's really funny because I remember this moment that I felt that she was slow, but her pace is really soft and good, and it still looks very active. So what I feel under saddle and what it looks like is still quite a little bit different, which is good, and that's why making these videos are so important. I really recommend everyone to make videos of your training so you can not only feel what's going on, but you can also see what's going on. So it's interesting to see that where I feel that she's a little bit slow, she still is actually really active. Which means that I can slow her down there. My saddle is not perfectly balanced. The fitter is coming next Friday to make the tree wider. It's too narrow for her. I have a pad underneath right now that pushes the back up a little bit, putting me back into position. It's a stride free saddle, so it's not pinching, but it's just not perfectly balanced. And if you consider that it was already too narrow only 2 months after you made it narrower, because her withers had come up but the muscle didn't come along just yet. So you made the saddle narrower, which was good at the time, and then 2 months later it needed to be widened again. So here's one of the exercises that I've been doing lately, which is the turn on the forehand. It's quite similar to how I start the work in hand. You want to make sure that your hands are moving forward, which here I'm not doing. So that's a good thing that I need to keep in mind and look at. Here it's becoming better, and then that's actually when she gets space to really move with her hind legs. So one of the things this exercise does is getting them more responsive to connect the leg to the hind leg. It also helps them push up the front a little bit. But notice that I ask for it. I get it a few steps, and then I get out. So I don't do it endlessly. But I ask for it, and then I let her come down to a stretch, which is softer now compared to what it was before. So it's all about loosening up that body, making that body soft, making that body relaxed, yet strong and active. So with these exercises, I don't want to be a drill instructor. I just want them to become soft. I want them to try. They can find it difficult, and from that difficulty, I want them to come back to softness and relaxation. So on the right rein, I will do, again, a little bit turn on the forehand. So she brings up her head. I don't mind. She's still soft. She's not bracing. That was very nice. You see how she's softly carrying her head there. And I want them to come out of that exercise straight. So I don't want her to fall over her shoulder coming out of that turn on the forehand. I want her to stay between two reins there. So here again, she's softly lifting her head. The contact is very light there, and I let her go. Make her straight on the outside rein. So here you see how easy it can be to ask for something difficult. And I ask this here and now because I want to have her attention. So the more I focus on a little bit more difficult exercise, the more I sort of make her focus on me without getting hard. So here, another time. There we go. It's not a perfect turn. It's just about getting her thinking towards that turn. And then as soon as she responds, which she did really quickly on my leg here, I just let her come down and stretch again. And you see that the stretch is improving. So one of the things people may notice if they've seen me ride and work this horse before is that I switched my reins to a shorter pair. The reason why I did this is because my long reins, sometimes I need to shorten my reins so she can get very short. And I had a couple of times that the rein went around my foot. Well, you can imagine what can happen if she starts bolting. I fall off and I have a pair of reins around my foot. So I decided that for a few weeks I'm just going to try with a little bit shorter reins. She's a small horse. She's a small Frisian. So I have a normal full set of reins instead of the extra long ones. And I was not unpleased with how she stretches in that. And since she is so much better between two reins now, it's relatively easy to ride her at the end of those reins and just steer her through everything. But it's a work in process. It was the second time that I was riding with these reins. But for the one who's paying attention will notice that my reins, I don't have a lot of space anymore when she stretches all the way down and out, which is correct. So here she knows we're going to start trotting. So I want her to wait a little bit. So I'm making a square, getting her more responsive on the outside rein. And from there to go into a trot. So since I'm riding not completely on the fence, she gets a little bit wobbly there. And of course around that corner she gets a little bit tense. So I try to stay as soft with my hands as possible and just to let her keep on moving. She's a very forward horse. I don't really have to work that hard to get her to go. But here I want a little bit bend on my inside leg. This is too round. She rarely does that, but now she did. Apparently because she didn't want to just come to my hand there. So here I tried to slow her down a little bit, but she's very active. This is one of the things that happens in the outside arena. In the beginning she's just very there, and I just softly and slowly work her more towards the stretch. So I make my reins a little bit shorter again. Ask her to come towards my hand. She's a little bit, no, but because there are horses over there and I want to look here and I want to look there and I want to run away. So to get her out of that, I do a little bit of yielding. I want my left hand to stop going over that withers there. Something I need to pay attention to because it's also making me crooked on the side, making me sit not straight on my horse pretty much. So I don't want to fight her too much. I just want her to be soft. And as soon as she comes out of that and becomes a little bit, pushing her will, I'm like, no. And then I let go. Again, a little bit of yielding there. Oh, but there's a spook in the corner over there. No, there's not. So see how in this corner she's already tense when I'm going into it. But I keep my rein as loose as possible there. Not to get her tense from me because that would cause spooking. So here you notice that she's already becoming a little bit softer. Not fully where I want it to be. I don't know what the hell my hand is doing over there. But I got a first stretch in the trot there. Which means she's becoming softer. So that's good. Change reins. And now she's starting to get to the bridle, which is good. So here we see that once I've guided her through the first part of it, and just keep on going, sticking with my questions, she will slowly start to get towards me and opening up and starting to relax. So if I would not ride her in the outside arena and not take her through this will stay, this part of staying tense. And so at this point I just had to decide, okay, I'm just going to ride her and then accept that she's going to be a little bit tense. I'm not going to get a full stretch. I'm just going to use this session to get her more through the body. That was a really nice part of working position. So when it comes to her head carriage, I ride her where she's offering to be. So sometimes she comes up a little bit more and stays really nice and soft in the bridle, and sometimes she's asking for more rein. I just give her more rein. If she comes up, I just make my rein shorter and see what she's wanting from me. So that way I'm trying to keep the riding a conversation. So here she comes up a little bit more. This is very nice in the working position, very soft. So this horse has the tendency to sometimes brace herself a little bit. She's very strong and she's half aware of that. So the more I go into fight mode with her, the more I will get a struggle back, and I'm afraid she's going to win. So staying soft and helping her staying soft between two reins would be the solution to everything. So here we're going through the corner. She finds it a little bit difficult. I'm just taking her back a little bit there. She goes a little bit too fast. So I wanted to do a little bit of shoulder fore there, but she was struggling going down that line. So that's okay. You can try and then not managing to work it out. You don't have to get angry. Just let them come down to the stretch again. So here I'm asking again, and this is already quite a bit better. But she's struggling to really focus on these kind of exercises in the outdoor arena right now. The more she gets settled here, the more easy it's going to become. But that doesn't mean I don't have to ask these questions. I mean, I can still ask them and get a no. And I'm totally fine getting a no, or like, this is too much. Well, clearly at this moment that was a little bit too much for her. Probably something spooky over there happened. A couple of days ago, someone in a pink shirt was really the monster of the day. She felt that she was unable to move anymore, which was really funny. So I notice here that she's becoming a little bit more slow. I need to use more legs to keep her going. I need to pay attention that I'm not overdoing it, that I don't keep on helping her constantly. So that's a good thing to pay attention to in the next couple of rides. That was very nice and soft through the corner there. A little bit of shoulder forward. This side is easier. She struggles a little bit, but that's okay. And after that, just let her come down to the stretch, which is deeper than it was before. A little bit of shoulder forward. Definitely better than on the other rein. And then I let her come down to the stretch again. This is very nice and soft. Ideal. This is ideal where she should be right now. Very nice. So let's take her back to the walk. And I can share a little bit more on the things that I've been doing with her. So, in the beginning, one of the things that she really did was slam her head to the left. It was not a protest thing, it was more a balance thing. And she really struggled to be worked on one rein. So I'm used to working them on one rein out of riding my Western horses. To get them familiar with one rein first, get them to bend on the inside rein. And with Art2ride, I do it quite similarly when I start them in hand. I just want to have them connected on the inside rein first, and then I add the outside rein. But when I did that in the ridden work, she would get so much space, and she's so incredibly flexible that she would start throwing her head left and right. So one of the things that I've been doing as an exercise is riding a square instead of a circle to get her more between two reins and get her more responsive on the outside rein. That made her a whole lot more consistent in the bridle, and also makes the training a little bit more fun, since you're not just doing the circles, you're adding the squares. So she's a horse that needs to be triggered a little bit. In the meantime, I'm doing a little bit of shoulder 4 there. It's a nice way to alternate the training by adding the squares. So if you're having a horse that's struggling, either falling a lot over the outside shoulder or is struggling getting between two reins, I really can recommend riding squares. So another thing that I've been struggling with this horse with a lot is the canter work, which I'm going to do a little bit later in the video. So one of the things one should know about Friesians is that their stifles develop quite late and are very soft and not the strongest part of the body of this horse. So I couldn't really canter her on the lunge line until about 5 months ago, and I only started the canter work ridden about, literally a week before I wrote my test. So also not too long ago. And we're expanding that canter work a little bit. I've been amazed with how much she's progressing in that canter work, finding more balance. She's easier to steer, but take into account with the canter work that you're about to see that this horse has barely been cantered on the saddle. And she has very little balance and just about enough strength to do the canter work, but the canter is improving her, so I don't want to skip it. It's interesting to see that as soon as I pick up the reins here, she's starting to become a little bit faster and impatient. So I take a little bit of my time here to get her back to, hey, we're going to do something. The transition was what it was. Transitions will become good at the latest part. I'm not really focusing on doing perfect transitions right now. So here, after a bit of walking, I just wanted to get between two reins again, so a little bit of turning here. Getting her to respond there. And there we canter off. So for a Friesian, her canter really isn't that bad. It's actually really strong and good and solid. She has a good jump. So I want to interfere as less as possible. I don't want to be on the brakes. I just keep on going. I just let her move. I'm using very little leg aid here. Just a little bit on the outside to get her through that turn. She was really tired, so she drops out at a certain point. But this is a little bit where we are in the canter work. Of course, I want her to start stretching a little bit more. But the more balanced she's going to become, the better that stretch is going to be. So really see this as a 3-year-old canter doing canter work for the first time. So now she's active, she's awake. I need to take that back to softness and relaxation. Sometimes you see a glimpse of what this horse is going to be when she's stronger and more developed and can hold that a little bit more, and I just can't wait. I really cannot wait. So here I just let her fiddle a little bit. I'm not going into a debate with her. I'm just, if she wants to get out, I just say come back. And if she's getting out again, I just say come back. She responds quite dramatically because my hand is really not as firm as she might think looking this. But yeah, those are a couple of strides that just makes me very happy. So what she wants is actually go back into that canter because she does like the canter work. And I don't want her to go into the canter, I just want her to wait for me, which is something she finds very difficult. She stretches easier on this rein, but she finds the canter on this side a little bit harder. There, if you see those few strides over there, oh my gosh, I love this horse. So literally riding this horse is so addictive. That's why I need to give her a little bit of a break, but I could ride this horse every day. It's so much fun to work with this animal because she's not brain dead. She has an opinion and I like it. It's really communication. It's really teamwork. It's really trying to work things out together, and it's so much fun. It's not perfect. So here I wanted to get into the canter, but I prepped her really badly. And again, I'm prepping her very badly. So I don't know what the hell I'm doing. I should wait a little bit longer and give her more of a stretch, but I don't think I did that. Oh, I did. Good on me. So there we go. So like she was getting tense, I just let her stretch down. So I waited a little bit more. Good on me. There we go. So I tap her a little bit with the whip to keep on going. But I want to interfere as less as possible with my hand. So I just want to steer and then let her move. Her canter on this side is bigger and stronger and more soft. So that's good. But she finds it harder to stay in. I just let her move. If she wants to come to the bridle, she can. But she's already going to fall out because she's tired due to the heat. Which is okay. So I'm going to finish up this session. I don't care that I cantered longer on the one side and then on the other because that will be different in 2 weeks again. So I just let her stretch down, steer her around a little bit, making figure of 8 just to loosen her up on both sides. Let her walk it all out. There, and here you notice that she's very nice and soft into the contact there. And we're done. So this was my session with Raven. Again, it's not a perfect session because in the outdoor arena she gets more tense, and I just wanted to show you a little bit that, well, how I work her through that. That I just take my time working on the stretch, but I don't want to just do the stretch. I do want to do some other stuff, like the outdoor arena should not just be a place of chilling and relaxing and, you know, whatever. So I wanted to be responsive on the steering, and if she gets tense, I wanted to get out of it as quickly as possible. But now I can just walk her around on a loose rein. Gosh, I really, really love this horse. I cannot wait what the future is going to bring. So my next step with this horse is going to be, well, first she's going to get a full week off. The 24th of July I'm having a new competition with her, so in between I will keep the riding very slow. I'm just going to lunge her a bit, and that's going to be it. And then in the beginning of August I'm going to take her on some other territory to get her more familiarized on going to different places, being on the trailer. And then throughout the winter I am maybe going to try to qualify for the indoor regionals, but she needs to be totally okay. I'm not going to compromise her for achieving that, but I think it's a nice first goal. It's literally in the lowest class available, and I will have no shot because the people riding the regionals and then the Dutch championships are all able to do Passage and Piaffe with the horses, and I'm not going to do that with her. So, but you know, it's nice to have a little bit of focus and seeing if I can get her to work through that or not. And if she gets too tense, it's too much for her, then I'm going to give her a break. Like today, she felt a little bit tired. So I'm going to slow the work down a little bit. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you thought this was helpful, and see you next time.